This episode is sponsored by the Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal. Over the past 4 years, I have had the opportunity to help over 30 women identify, accept, and take action in the parts of their lives where they feel stuck. My heart's desire is to do that with every woman I come in contact with, but the truth is that's not realistic. So instead, I created a prayer journal that goes through that same journey. The Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal is designed for you to dig deep and answer questions that will pull out where you are stuck on your journey. The Slang Self-Doubt Prayer Journal consists of 6 sections of journal prompts and areas for reflections for when you want to dig a little deeper and just take your thoughts to another level. Whether it takes you 6 weeks or 6 months to complete, I promise you will not regret it. Head on over to my website at www.feliciawallace.com and select the books tab to make your purchase. If you are ready to find your fears and slay them, go to www.feliciawallace.com, select books, and get your copy today. You're listening to the Slang Self-Doubt Podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slang Self-Doubt Podcast. I am here with Shauniece Morris from Naturally Shauniece. Hey, Shauniece, how are you? Now, after I said that right, if this DMV dialect goes into Shauniece, that's
it's fine. It's okay. I know that you have really been trying. So thank you.
You're welcome. I am so happy that you are here, that you have agreed to do the show. So I usually like to tell people like where find people, whether or not I've been stalking them. And so you have been one of the people I have been stalking for a while.
Okay.
Because it's for good reason, right? So the first thing is that I love like all of your videos about your hair and stuff, even though I know that that is not the texture of my hair. When I be going to the barbershop, like, so I spent, everybody who knows, I had locks for 18 years and I cut my hair for my 40th birthday. And I kept it short for probably about a year. So now I'm like, I want to grow it out, right?
Oh,
and
no,
every time I go back and I'll be like, so what products do I need?
But you can. You can use, like, people are always like my hair won't do that, but it will. It's just like you gotta like train your hair. You have to like, it's like a method to the madness. And once you find the method, you're good to go. But I like a shortcut, and I love shortcuts. So.
Yeah, and see, my thing is that I had locks for the simple fact that first it was just to try it, and then it was like, oh, this is so easy. Like I don't even have to do any work. Like this is legit me. I just put my hair up in a point. So having to do my hair every day is a struggle already. Like, did I put oil? You know how long I went without a comb? Let alone like it's like, so now trying to do things, I'm like, this is not doing what else. So either way, I was stalking you because of that, because of the hair when I was looking at haircuts. And then I was just watching your content and how you share different things. And then you got me motivated on Mondays to be working out. And so now, so I'm just like, oh man. So when it came to like pitching, I was like, I already knew you was going to be on my list. I'm very clear about, me and God have a conversation, like who we going to have on here. And so when I pitched you, you said yes. I was like, yes.
Yes, of course.
About this curl that I'm trying to get in all the things. So thank you so much, because I'm like I told you offline, like I'm always amazed and in awe when people say yes. So I am grateful for sure.
Yeah, that makes me so happy. That makes me happy.
So even though I have been stalking you, my audience may or may not have been stalking you.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Okay, well, my name's Shauniece. I am a wife of 15 years.
Yes, 15 years. Come on.
Girl, listen, every day. We thank the Lord for every day. So I take it day by day. That's a whole other podcast. Okay. And I'm a mom of 2. I have 2 boys.
Yes, boy mom.
And a boy mom, 15 and 12. They're literally about to be 16 and 13 in a few months.
Oh, wow.
I live out here in Maryland, the DMV. I'm originally
Yay.
from San Diego, California. I went to undergrad at Coppin State University.
Oh, you came all the way over.
Yeah,
over here.
exactly. Yes, yes. I grew up in the San Diego County in
Nice.
California. Yep, my family's military, and moved here my junior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then just been here ever since. Love it.
Oh, you stayed. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, no, I mean, I love it. It's like when you're from here, you don't realize what a privilege it is to be around Black people, and not just be around Black people, but Black excellence.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I did not grow up being around, that's a whole nother podcast. I didn't grow up being around Black people. Okay. So culturally, like, I grew up in white culture in the 90s, the only Black girl in my class, always the only, having to explain my every misconception that you think about growing up Black in a white community. Was my experience. So when I moved here, and you can go to the grocery store, you guys, and they are playing some R&B, like, you're like, oh, okay, you don't get that. Like, this is this, and I would probably say like Atlanta are like just really, really special places where kids, like my kids have Black teachers, they have Black doctors, like so it's like they growing up seeing that, dang, like the ideal of going to college or being educated or being Black and living in big houses, like, this is what my kids think Black people just do. We just do this, right?
Yes.
We just do this. And when you don't grow up in this area, you don't realize that, no, this is what we just do, because those are images and interactions that you're having on a daily basis. So that's why I love it here.
Man, well, let me just tell you something. I mean, I've always been proud to be a PG County girl, right? But that right there was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because there's things you take for granted when you don't experience other stuff, right? Like, even as you were saying, and I was like, yeah, because when we've gone to Atlanta, I'm always like, I don't understand what people... what the hype is. I was like, it's just like being at home. Like, so for me, there's no difference. So I'm just like, what is it that people are excited about? Like, this is literally where I live on a regular basis. But now you saying that, like, I understand, like, oh, okay, it's because people are coming from places where that's not normal.
Exactly. It's not normal.
Yeah.
It really, you don't realize it until you live someplace else and you're like, oh, a Black person. Oh my God. Like, it really is. It's like, it's so crazy to me. Okay. Like, it is so crazy. So like now as a mom, I look for opportunities to be more culturally diverse for my kids. Like, okay, I want to put you in a different, opportunity.
You're absolutely
right. We
right.
love the Black people, but we trying to interact.
I need y'all to see there's other people that exist, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
exactly.
not just us. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's very true. My oldest son is about to go to high school, and he was just like, I need some diversity. And for me, it just didn't dawn on me. And I was just like, oh yeah, I guess because the world is diverse, like you probably do. But when I grew up, like even being in this area, my parents were intentional about diversity as well. So some of the schools I went to were not predominantly Black. So I had the diversity. So it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because you got to be able to show up. So yeah, that is, y'all, I'm even more proud to be. Yes.
Listen.
So if y'all never been here, y'all need to get here so y'all can feel all this Black excellence. Okay.
Exactly. Go ahead and real. Come on to the DMV.
Yes. So how did you get started with, that was a side
I know, that was like, that's a whole nother thing, but
but what did I tell you? However the spirit moves you, sometimes we gotta talk about it. So how did you get started with like content creating, the hair stuff?
So I'm actually really been creating content probably since forever.
Really?
Since before content was like content creation. Does that make sense? Like, and so back when I was having my oldest son, became a mom, and this is before, being a mom on Instagram and social media was like a thing, right? And people aspire, like, I'm a mom, let me show you everything that I know about mothering from 1 week of being a mother. Right.
Right.
And so I started, kind of just sharing with friends. People like, oh my gosh, you should start a blog. This is when blogs were like,
right.
Like popping off again before social media. So I say that to say, I've always like have had like this creative content, a desire to share, my own experiences in hopes of connecting with other women or helping women along their, their journey.
Yeah.
So fast forward to, I never did it, never started a blog, anything.
Wait a minute. What? Even when people said
even when people said like, you should really, I never did it. I was just like, yeah, okay. I don't know, like life, right? Like I was a young mother. I had 2 kids. I was married young. We went to, my husband and I, graduate school, like life. Okay.
Yeah.
And, fast forward to my son, my oldest son is 15. So when my oldest son turned like 10 or 11, it really hit me like, I only have like 7 more years with this fool, like 8 more years until he's 18 and he's going to go to college. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, dang, I have spent so much time giving to my kids and being thrown in, motherhood. Like these kids leave you. He is going to, and then what do I have?
Right. And who are you?
I have everything that I do is like centered around my kids.
Yeah.
So then that's when I started to realize, you know what, I really want to plan for a fruitful harvest season when I'm an empty nester. And to do that, that starts now.
Yeah.
And so that's when I set up, my official blog. It was called ShaunieceMorris.com, right? Set that up. And I was sharing, I was intertwining my love of my career, which I'm a project manager. I'm in the field of sciences and motherhood and kind of balancing it all, right? Started that. And it wasn't hitting how I thought that it should hit.
Yeah.
Almost immediately. Not because when you first start, I'm like, we about to take off.
Right.
Like, we're here. And that's not how things start. It's very, very slow, just in general. I guess I was used to seeing people who had already had, a blog for 10 years and comparing myself to them or whatnot. Right.
That's a whole word.
Yeah. So it wasn't hitting. Right. So then I started getting a lot of questions about my hair. And I was like, oh, okay, here, like, so I started doing little things here. And at the time I had this really fly, cute, like tapered haircut, shave size, and, my barber had posted a pic and it just went on like viral, on Instagram. So it was shared everywhere. And so I was like, oh, well, if people like that, I can use hair to capture people immediately.
Yeah.
And then I hooked them by sharing like mom life, right? So I was like, oh, I'll just use hair to grow my blog, not realizing the shift that would naturally take place. Because I always loved doing my hair. Like I can't do anybody else's hair, but she could do her hair. Okay. And I know a lot of information because I've been natural pretty much, since I was like, I don't know, 17, 16. And then I've dibbled and dabbled from perm to natural. Like, I just do what you want to do with your hair.
Right. I mean, it's
right. Like it's okay. Right. So who knows, next year I might have a perm and I'll be okay with that. And y'all gonna be okay with that. So at that point I started just kind of like sharing hair, little pictures here and there. And then my original Instagram account got hacked. And I was devastated because I had just hit 1,000 followers, right? And I thought it was all over. I mean, I was like crying. It was just a terrible experience. And mind you, this is not the Instagram that you do today. So this is Instagram like 5 years ago, which is a very different Instagram than what we are dealing with today, right? So I was just like, oh my gosh, like I have to start all over, and I was speaking to a girlfriend and she was like, well, what's the problem with starting over? Like, girl, you just got started and okay, it's 1,000, followers. But I was like, I worked really hard for those 1,000. Like to start from zero, OMG, right? And she's like, girl, starting over is a good thing, and so just change your outlook. That's what she said to me. And I was like, okay, fine. And so I started Naturally Shauniece from zero. And from then I was like, well, if I have to grow, then I'm gonna be a hair content queen and we about to be doing hair, okay? Very quickly. And sure enough, it was like, it took me 8 months to go from 0 to 10K when I bogged down on hair. And that's really all I did. And then people started really liking me as the individual because they were like, oh, like she's a mom. Oh, she's like talking like I experienced this. Like this is like real. Like I love you. Da, da, da. And that's how I was able to like get people to stay. Right. And then I started doing curl friends, which isn't my original. People think I made that term up, but I didn't. Like that's.
Oh, I thought you did too.
No. That's been in existence. That was a thing. I think I was just probably like the first to like really like say it, but like in blogs and stuff like that, I've seen it before. So it's just like, yeah, it's not mine. That's why I can't. People are like, you should always like trademark. You should trademark that, but it's not originally.
Yeah.
Mine. Like I can't prove that its existence was mine. Anyhow, so I started using, curl friends, and then next thing you know, it all just like connected, and I bogged down for those 8 months and just planned everything and had a plan, and I just did what came natural to me, and that's where Naturally Shauniece, the inception of it came from.
Man, so two things that popped out. The first thing is that how what we thought was going to happen, or what you thought was going to be the thing that you were going to share, really wasn't the thing, first of all. Secondly, that whole space of like starting over, like how many times have we gotten to a place and you and I knew, I could see it in your face when you were like, I had 1,000 followers, like but you worked for those, right? And so it's just like at that moment where you felt like you were getting somewhere, something happened and it was out of your control, not really sure, but it was intentional, right? Because when you got a chance to start over, you knew then what you were going to focus on, and that in 8 months, 10 times what you were struggling about, what you were crying over.
Wow, I didn't think of it that way. You're right.
10 times than what you were like, oh no, I got to start over. And that to me is like a way of like showing us, like, on top of the fact that like in changing your name and being Naturally Shauniece, right? Like you're showing up as yourself, like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, then we just going, let's go. You know what I mean? And then people fell in love with you, the person, not the brand, not the blog, they fell in love with your hair.
Yeah.
But like it was you, like showing up as yourself. And I think for me, there was just the two things was like, one, definitely showing up for yourself. And then two, like focusing on one thing. Like you just said, I'm just going to focus on this one thing and then we're going to go from there. And a lot of times, especially as entrepreneurs, as creators, we be like, oh, that might work. Oh, that might work. Oh, that might work. And we hold in and nothing works because we literally have 10 things in our hands.
Yes.
But what if you just pick one thing and put all your attention on that?
Yes. I do a lot of like reading and watching. So when I'm working out, I like to spend that time as like self-improvement time, I call it. So I'll listen to podcasts or watch something, like learning something pertaining to just like entrepreneurship and specifically like content, being a digital creator and stuff, and kind of growing platforms. And that's a huge mistake that I know that I make, is just like trying to do it all, right?
Yeah.
And there's just so much value in doing one thing and doing that one thing really, really, really well, right?
Yeah.
because there's power in like energy. There's power in focus on, again, power in like focusing on one thing. All of your energy is to there. There's no distractions, right? And so that's what I've spent a lot of time doing. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. Even now, I'm not starting over, but I'm making a pivot to, you know what? I really, really want to grow my YouTube channel. And I really, really want to make, I'll be transparent. And for some, this number may not be big, but for me, this will be really, really big. So last year, I wanted to hit 3K subscribers on YouTube, and I wanted to get monetized. My channel, right? So my whole focus, especially the last quarter, because that's when I was like, okay, get it together, Shauniece. Like, you've been you playing on TikTok, you playing on Instagram, you playing on YouTube, like you playing on your blog. You can't really keep up, which is why you can't do content consistently, which is why you can't be consistent. You know, you're trying to be consistent in 5 areas instead of being consistent in one. So that's when I was just like, okay, if the focus is YouTube, then that's gonna be the focus. So the only thing I'm going to do this next Q4 is YouTube. So I said, publish a video once a week, and it has to be hair, because that's just like the bread and butter, right? Like we all have like something that you do really well, and that gets people hooked and stuff like that. So do that one thing, right? That should be like bread and butter, 70% of it, 80% of that, right? And 20% is like other things. Okay. So I said, okay. I said, you know, you got to get your watch time hours up to get monetized. You have to have 4,000 watch time hours and 1,000 subscribers. So I knew I already had the subscribers, and I knew that I was like 400 hours away from the 4,000. Oh, wow. Yeah, like from 4,000, right? Like, and this is with me doing, like, just looking at the analytics and being like, girl, you haven't published a video in months, but people are still watching your content. Like, that's the power of YouTube. Like, people are still watching. I haven't done anything in months. And people are still subscribing, and people are still watching. Like, there's value in that to me, right? So I said, okay, bog down. Q4, that's what I did. And I said, everything else is just gonna have to go. And so this year, my focus is, all right, I'm now monetized. I have a quarter being monetized. I made like $100 a month the last few quarters, which isn't a lot, but it was a proof of concept, right? Which helps you build your confidence.
Absolutely.
Is, okay, I have a proof of concept. I have a design now, a framework, and it works. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident, like, okay. And so now my goal is to do 60K on Naturally Shauniece gross, because people get those numbers. I made, and they don't tell you gross, net, all that stuff.
Right. There's a difference.
There's a difference. Okay. So we're going to gross. And then I want to grow my channel to 10K subscribers, because that's like a magic number on YouTube. Or whatnot. But even if I don't, I learned that you can have 100, you can have 400 subscribers on YouTube and make 10K a month. Like, that's how the value in like affiliate marketing and YouTube and stuff,
all
like
of those
that.
things.
So, so that's my goal. And again, I said I'm pivoting because I'm focusing on one thing, which is YouTube. So all the other stuff that I'm doing, Instagram, I will not post on Instagram if it is not marketing and
to go to
forwarding people to my YouTube. I'll go days, because I don't want to, like, again, the power of like focusing on one thing. I'm not just going to be stressing out if there's no game plan, right? The roadmap is YouTube. So all activities have to lead to YouTube. And that's the bottom line.
And that. I can hear all your project management skills coming out. As you're talking about it, like the roadmap, everything's got to go.
Like,
right?
there's,
but the beauty in that, and for anyone who's listening, who is doing anything, it don't have to necessarily be content creative. Whatever it is that you're focusing on, like, you have to focus on one thing. And if we're out here, and I've been guilty of it too, like, oh, this looks like a good idea, you know, we call it shiny object syndrome, right? Whatever's shining over here, or you get like 5 people to say you should do this, and then you be like, you know what, that's a good idea, right? And then you over here, and then the thing you really supposed to be doing is just collecting dust. For what?
Yeah.
For what? Instead of just like you said, putting all of your energy into that one thing and seeing it to completion. A lot of times we don't see things to completion, right? And so even when, like you said, like even for myself, I've shared like, okay, we're gonna hit 50,000 downloads on the podcast, and I had the same goal last year, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know if I put as much work into the podcast as I did into other things, right?
You just hit on something. If you're being honest with yourself.
If I'm being honest with myself, right? And
you know if you put in the work or not.
Exactly. And so when you think about it, you're like, okay, but what does it take in order for me to hit this number? It's not just about creating episodes. Some of it is about, you got to get in front of other people. You got to get the word out. How do you get, so then that's where your plan comes into action. And so that if my plan is to hit this number, the only way that can happen is if I do other things that leads up to that, which means I can't do this other stuff that is not going to get me there. You know what I'm saying? Like I always use the same example. Like I don't sell wicker chairs. Why am I over here trying to make chairs and candles and all of this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I do. If the podcast is the thing, is your bread and butter, is whatever that one thing is, you put all of your energy into that, and whatever manifests from it, that's bonus. That's overflow. That's what that is. But you have to be like, so that was a word for me. Thank you for confirming some stuff was already in my head.
Listen, we're all like learning and stuff. And something that you said to me was like doing stuff to completion. And that's something that I've learned, and like from, people who call themselves experts. But I listened to this podcast called Think Media podcast. Really good. But I say that to say that they always say, like, when you're like doing an idea, whatever this is not content. We're just talking about life. Goals, aspirations, right? Sometimes we say, I've been doing this for 30 days and I'm not seeing anything, right? And we get mad, and then that's when we shift because we want something to pop off real quick. And it doesn't work like that. Like, sometimes you have to do stuff for a quarter. You have to do stuff for 6 months to really test if this working or not, right? And case in point is something like YouTube, where I just recently learned, like, don't count the analytics and views that you get that 1 week. It's really like 3 months from now, 5 months from now. What are the analytics on that video? That's the value there. And so I was like, oh, okay. So now I just tell myself, it's not even about right now. It's about 3 months from now.
Right. So instead of worrying about the right now, like, keep doing the work.
That's it. Just do the work, right? Because that content always lives out there. And that's one thing that I would say, just like in life, like when you're thinking about goals and we're trying to accomplish something, think about, it's not about right now, right? It's about the later. And sometimes the work we put in now may not, it may be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, somebody sees a video and they're like, a major, and they're like, oh my gosh. And that video is what popped up. I could think of a local couple here in DC who, had an explosion of a year, like last 2 years, based on an old video. That, he had done on his YouTube channel from like 4 years ago.
But I think that also goes to show that, like, the perseverance that goes behind it, right? And the work ethic that goes behind it, because you never know. You don't know when someone's going to see what it is that you have, which also goes to one I often I share on here, that our obedience is connected to somebody else some way. Like, you don't know where your people are. You don't know where your viewers are. You don't know when they're going to see it. So because it's not happening right here in the present, doesn't mean you're just supposed to give up. Doesn't mean you just supposed to say, well, this ain't working, so I'm going to go do something else. Because the person who's meant to find you, it may be 5 years from now, from the work you're doing today. So if you are if you just quit today, they gonna miss it.
Yep. And we also like, I know, at least I guess I'm going to talk to myself. I can only speak for myself. So I can get, when you said your people will find you, right? Your people. So these are just things that I have literally just learned, you guys, in the last 6 months, like aha moments. Your people, my people are not the people who I see every day, who interact with my content every day. Like, I really have to get that out of my head.
Yep.
I don't do what I do for people that I know, right?
Yep.
On YouTube, there are like 5 billion people on YouTube. I'm gonna find, my people are going to find me, okay? And the 4,000 people who subscribe to my channel, those are my people. They subscribe for a reason. There's more than enough people to go around. Like, how small-minded am I to think that it's like, yeah, I'm just small-minded. Like, I'm only thinking about the people that I see or the people that are on, you know, that I interact with. That's not my family. That's not the people. So I've let go of expectations of people supporting me, of people sharing myself, because those aren't the people that I'm trying to reach. I'm not trying to reach my actual friends, right?
Yes.
I'm not trying to reach my actual family. Like, there are billions of people in this world. There are billions of people on Instagram. There are billions of people on YouTube, or, you know, there are billions of people on the internet who listen to podcasts. Like, that is not the audience. And so that perspective has really helped me in the last, specifically really in the last 6 months, to like battle, you know, self-doubt and to battle, you know, consistency. Like, when I'm not feeling like, oh my gosh, only like, you know, 5 people are seeing this, like, but like, really, like, change the thinking, Shauniece. Like, there are billions of people in this world.
And
there's more than enough.
And I think that what you just said is exactly what people need to hear. Like, the people that you're meant to serve are not the people who are following you right now. It's the people who will find you. Most of the people that are following us or connected to us are people we know through other stuff, or their friends, or their support, or they, yes, girl, yes, they're your hype women or your hype men. That's what they are. But the people who are really, that you're assigned to, that like, this person, are the people who DM you, who are like, I needed to hear that. I needed you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for, I'm struggling with this. Do you have, like, those? It's different, but and so that doesn't even mean, when you think about people's followers, like, cut that in half. Probably half of that is just people like, oh, I like their pictures, versus this is somebody that is impacting. I think that's the difference that we have to think about. There's a difference between people who are just following us and the people that we're making an impact on. And I'm trying to reach the people that I'm impacting. That's different. That's a whole, because I don't know where they are. So because I don't know, I can't stop. I just know that they're out there. And so even when you were talking, that leads us to my question: how has self-doubt showed up in your journey? Did you hear that ad at the beginning of the show? If you're a business owner looking to expand your reach, you can promote your company or product with a host-read pre-roll or mid-roll ad by me on the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. If you want more information, email info@FeliciaWallace.com. That's info@FeliciaWallace.com. Now, back to the show.
Oh my gosh, self-doubt. It doesn't just show up. It is persistent. It is consistent, and it is daily. Like, there's not I wish I could sit here on your podcast and say that, you know, not that I don't battle self-doubt, but that it isn't as persistent as, you know, what it is.
Child, the name of the podcast is Slaying Self-Doubt, which means it's an action, and it is me. It is it is every day.
That really, it is an action. It is an action.
Are we doing this today? Are we really? This is what's happening. You know, like,
yeah, you're right. It is. It's an action, And self-doubt shows up in so many ways for me in my life daily. It shows up in just like those negative thoughts in your head. Like for me, it looks like, are people really watching this?
Mm-hmm.
Are people really like connecting with this? Does this really help somebody,
Yeah.
do their hair? Does this really help a Black woman feel more confident?
Yeah.
And then it goes like, girl, nobody's seen this, so you didn't have an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, commented, so nobody cares. It looks like you just don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the time. So why are you giving this time when you don't have and when I say time, it's like, I just wish I didn't have any, I don't really wish this, but at times it looks like I don't even want to have kids or a husband. I just want to do this.
Yeah.
And I want to like go hard. Like people who don't have kids and they're single, like y'all can be out here just doing this all the time, getting off of work. Like I had like messaged somebody on a fellow YouTuber and I just really respect her and stuff. So I was like, message her and she's like, she told me, you work full time, but you need to come home. You need to record and film 3 videos a week, publish 3 videos a week. And so I was like, I'm like, so I go, I don't have the time. Like I honestly, that's not an excuse. I literally just don't have that. Like I have 2 kids. And so once I started explaining to her, like I have 2 kids, they're teenagers. I'm a taxi driver. We're in AAU competitive sports. So I could, right. And I've done it that way where I was going to, coming home after a practice, we don't get home to 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I was boggling down, filming videos, like going to bed at 3 o'clock, but that didn't make for a healthy me. And I don't like not sleeping.
Yeah.
And sleep is really important. It's become really important to me. I don't like being mentally bogged down. I don't like yelling at my kids because I'm literally exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like just getting out of bed and just feeling like I'm dead. Like I don't like that. So that was another thing. I had to change and pivot my habits because I was just like, I can't, if I'm not feeling well, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, so once I told her that, she was like, oh, and that aha moment, like, oh, people who you see out here, you don't know what people's situations, of course, and then come to find out her boyfriend is a photographer and into video. So all she has to do is film the video. You don't know the nuances behind how people are getting, to where they are. Okay. So you're coming home from work all day, you're filming, but you have somebody who's like a video editor who's that's your husband's career. Like
versus someone
so when you're first getting started, you have somebody versus sitting here for 2 hours trimming and cutting a podcast episode because that's what you have to do right now. Right? I have to do right now. So that's what self-doubt looks like for me. Self-doubt looks like, saying, you're 37, you're going to be 38 and you're starting a YouTube channel. You're too old. You're too old for this. Like I literally had that thought every day and it comes across when I'm scrolling, on Instagram, somebody's like, it's my birthday. And I'm thinking I'm the same age as this person, right? Because I'm cool, I'm young. And the girl is like, I'm 25. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're 37. Like we're the same age. But then you hit me with I need to see people's ID cards because some people just shock me because I'm thinking they're way older than what and I'm like, wow, you're only 25 or wow, you're 28. And you're a billionaire. Okay, cool. And I'm 37, right? With 2 kids, a husband. I'm not a billionaire. I just realized that I'm not a billionaire. And I'm trying to start, trying to take a hobby and turn it into
an empire. Yeah, like listen.
At 37, that's what self-doubt looks like.
And every single thing that you said is absolutely right because those, they know my audience knows the story. Like, I left my job at 38. Like, who does that?
Wow.
To like after like a career in leadership to say, yeah, I'm going to go home and pursue my passion, right? Like it felt good at the moment. And then I got home and said, what did I do? What am I doing?
Oh
Like
my
I'm
God.
sitting here like, OMG, like, girl, you is about to be, what year is this for? 20, you about to be
Yeah.
42. Like, what have you been doing? Like, what is, like, yes, those are the things that run through your mind. And then I have to remind myself, my kids are watching, right? My kids are
Yeah.
watching me create this thing, not under normal circumstances, right? I get
Yeah.
to talk to women like you and be able to use my platform, there's my name on it, then I'm like, I am creating something. I am,
You
something is going
are.
to outlive me, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
prayerfully, like this is, but it
Yes.
has to start somewhere, right? And so then it, then it starts to shift, and then I got to be like, okay, now we just, let's go press record and let's get it done, right? Like
Yeah.
those are the things. But yeah, it's a daily thing, because there are all these outside noises. There are these inside voices of ours. It's just like telling us, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And then you go and you see, like, even when you say it, like that last quarter, and you're like, I'm making the money. That's proof. What's your grandma say? Proof in the pudding, right? Like,
Proof in the pudding.
it's proof
Right.
that what you're doing is working, right? And so we just have to like keep going. So when you have those moments, what is it? What do you tell yourself to get out of that space?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I tell myself similar things like you, like, okay, my kids are like watching me, meaning like they may not always tell me and they may not realize, what I'm doing now, but there come a time when they're like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, like my mom, like she really was committed to something. Like I have a
Yeah.
mother who was committed to something, right? I have a mother who worked really, really hard, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know how my mom did it. Like these things are lessons that when our kids are feeling down or they can't accomplish something,
Mm-hmm.
they're really going to draw upon what they've seen their mothers do and what they've
Yeah.
seen their parents do, right? And be like, oh, well, I could do it. So
Yeah.
that's something that gets me out of it. Something also that gets me out of it is like thinking about how I feel when I accomplish whatever goal I have, small
Mm.
or large. Like, how do you feel? Like, I remember those feelings,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
that helps to push me through. I focus on times where in my life where I didn't think that, like this situation was ever going to end,
Yeah.
right? And I'm
Sure.
not even talking content creation. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
talking like, okay, I'm like, let's be very, because I don't
No, I
want people to
knew.
like listen to this and think, we're talking life,
Life,
y'all.
like real life,
Okay.
that outside of what it is that we
Real
do,
life.
like, yeah,
Okay.
you got to run
Yeah,
that
I
track
think
record back.
exactly like that's it. Rerun the track record, right? I also think, and I rerun God's track record
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
too. Like, okay, Shauniece, God showed up for you in this way in 2002 when I don't know, in 2006 when you were 20 years old and you just turned 20, you found out you were pregnant in college. Like God saw you through that. When
Yeah.
when you had to start over on
And
Instagram
as 1,000 followers.
at 1,000 followers, God showed up for you there. Like, so I have to rerun God's track record
Mm-hmm.
because it's undefeated.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's unmatched.
It's
There's not.
unmatched. Like nobody can compare it to God's track record.
Yeah.
So I do that. I take a break,
Mm-hmm. Which is
right?
very
Like, all right,
important.
that's it. I just take a break. Like, okay. And then from that break, I'm like, oh, I really missed that. Or ideas come for me. Da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
I also pray. I pray a lot for my content to be from God,
Yeah.
meaning like ideas that come from God. And I execute them. And I try to execute ideas that pop into my head very quickly,
Mm.
very organically. And I try not to overcomplicate it
Yeah.
because how does this play into self-doubt? When I do that, and I know that's like something is from God. Like I made a video a few weeks ago and it was me, like I happened to be at work and I happened to be wearing braids.
Oh,
And
I saw that one.
yeah, it
Yes.
like literally just came to me and I
Mm-hmm.
heard a song and I was like, okay, Shauniece, don't fight the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what? You don't have your camera. So what? You don't have this, right? So doubt starts showing up. in its way that it does. You don't have this, you don't have that. You're at work. Da, 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 da. And I was like, stop it. I just told myself, stop it. And I just said, just execute through this gap. Right. I filmed something, executed it. And next thing you know, this thing goes viral. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was from like nothing. Like, why do you overcomplicate things? Listen to God, act quickly, and let the rest take care of itself. And even if only 2 people see it, you feel really good about that work that comes out of that, because I know that was from God. I know. So I don't care if nobody hears it. Like, this was just a great, this was great work, or whatever I've done is great, because I know that it comes from the Lord. Right.
Yeah.
And so those are some ways that I battle self-doubt.
No, those are really, really good. And the last thing that you're saying, like doing it immediately, right? So my pastor says often the key to obedience is speed, because the minute you let that doubt come in, it will delay whatever you're supposed to do. And in that moment when God gives you something, sometimes you just have to act on it, for the simple fact that whoever, again, we talked about impact, and whoever your people are, they may need it right then in that moment, and you don't even know it, right? And so while you're second guessing, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, you're missing the people that he is trying to get you. And then you're gonna have to wait for it to come back around, and you don't know how long that's gonna be.
Girl,
and that's that you. And so then you like, then when you in your dry season and you like, nothing's happening. And it's like, well, if you had done what I told you to do a month ago, you would have been feeding on that wave. But no, you wanted to discuss it in your brain, have a whole meeting, plan it out, do all the things. And
it's funny that, you know, I do think that now we're not telling you guys, to people, to not, you know, plan.
Don't act on everything. You do have to plan stuff out.
Right. You have to plan. Planning comes from, for me, planning looks like asking God, you know, writing things out. We can't, you know, again, you just don't quit your job.
No, please don't.
Like, there has to be a plan, right? We just don't start things, like there has to be a plan. But there are times where you just have to like go, right? And I believe that those times you feel that.
Yeah, you feel that prompted. I always say that it feels like it actually feels like something is pushing me, and I'll be like, well, okay, let me just go. And I always feel better after I do it, after I say it, after I've recorded, after whatever it is. It's like, oh, okay, that was what I was supposed to do right here in this moment. So yeah, no, I feel you 110%. That thing be heavy on you to move, and that you got to be able to have that discernment.
Sit on it. You're like, oh my God, I can't sleep. That's how I know like something is hitting, because you can't. That's all I could think about. And then once I get it out, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so much better. Like, that was great. But I believe that those are like nudges. That's the Holy Spirit. I call it.
It's the Holy Spirit,
right? Nudging you. And I'm really working on trying not to fight that, even when doubt creeps in. And a really quick way to get rid of doubt for me is to act. Right. Yeah. And then I also tell myself, like, those are feelings. Yeah. Feelings are temporary. How I feel is temporary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't make decisions, and I can't not do something because of a temporary feeling. Now, feelings are real. I'm not that person that's going to advocate feelings are, you know, well,
no, feelings are real.
Do it anyways. No. Feelings are real, which is, you know, why when my 15, soon to be 16-year-old has lost his mind, because he is feeling something, and I have to help him feel something else so that he can reclaim his rightful mind.
You gotta have teenagers to know. Mine's is 14.
You have to have teenagers. Listen, if I know all the parents, listen, this is a sidebar, but I just laugh, you know, at moms who are new, because I was there. I was there once. Like, I was there with toddlers, and hello, what do you feel, toddler? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I swore I wouldn't be like this with my kids. You couldn't tell me. My mom always was like, oh, Shauniece, but you were gonna let them do whatever they want to do. Shauniece, you were
Yeah, okay. That ended really, really quick. And I think my misconception, this is a side note as well, is I was like, I don't want no girls. I know how I showed up. And
yeah,
it's a little bit, it is still the same, okay? But it's a little bit different where you got a little bass in your voice, because no matter what you say, like, it's one thing where you got a girl who like, you be like, but when that bass come out, I'm like, who is you? Wait a minute. Like, and my kids are I'm short. So yeah, my oldest son he's standing over top of me, and I'd be like, let me get this girl right quick.
Listen, right? Like those muscles, that's what I'm telling you. Like that testosterone
it hit different.
And those hormones really, really mess with their mind. Okay. And that's where I have to, as a mother, I'm learning to extend so much grace, and I can't react, because I'd be ready to pop. Not be ready. I pop off. Listen. And I'm like, and I get so mad at myself, because I'm like, why do you do that? Like my husband's like, Shauniece, he does this stuff on purpose to literally.
That's yes.
Like, why are you?
They let you get wired up.
He's like, he lets you just let him control you too much. So I just laugh at the moms, because I did not want to be like this. I have literally turned into, as my kids say, you're black momming, and there's just nothing that I could do about it.
No, it's in us. My mom says, she's like, okay, so now you're reaching the age where something comes and possesses them. So don't worry about it. They'll be back later. And I'm like, what?
Literally, yes, that's what I'm telling. Like, it is, they get possessed. Yes. I looked at my son like, are you, I'm sorry,
the child.
Like, you can't be talking to me. The person who needs me, I don't need you. Like, that's what I always like. I don't need you. Like, why do you think I need you? I don't. But I say that to say, like, all that is what they feel is temporary. Yeah. And because their brains aren't developed, when they feel something,
they feel it heavy.
It is heavy for them. It is real for them, right?
Yeah.
For us as adults, we have to remind ourselves, like, this is a feeling, and you're feeling doubt now. You're feeling, discouraged now, but it's a feeling. Yeah. And you can't make decisions or not do something based on your feelings, especially lifelong decisions.
Yeah. And not business decisions either.
Not business decisions, right? Not life decisions, because we know the consequences, right? People get married because they had that feeling of lust, or they had that feeling of, I love this person. And then it gets really real 6 months from now, a year from now. And you're like, dang, no, I don't. Why? Because that feeling goes away. So you neglected wisdom, you neglected planning, right? Because of how we felt, right? You went into debt because of our feelings of when we shop and we don't have enough money. So we pull out a credit card, right? Because of a feeling. Yeah. And feelings can't rule us, and feelings can't be the determining factors to how we conduct business or to how we achieve our goals, because it's a journey.
Yeah. That's a whole word. See, y'all don't be knowing. I promise you, I say this every time, like, there's a reason why God connects me with people at the time that he does, right? Because it's always, I do the show, but it's always meant for me personally, first, right? No matter what episode airs. And it's like, all of this is just like reminders of like where you are, what you're doing, how you should be moving, how we are supposed to be slaying this self-doubt, because those things are true, right? And that the other part is kind of what you were saying earlier about like not knowing what's going on behind the scenes of other people's life, and assuming that things are not different, better, whatever. And then you get wrapped up in your own head because your thought process is that like, oh man, I should be doing something else, right? So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before? If you've been listening to this podcast or following me on social media for a while and you're ready to start your journey to healing, or you're ready to confront your doubts and insecurities, there are 3 ways I can help. First, you can download the journal prompt from my website. Use this as a guide to get back on track with where God is calling you. Secondly, you can go to my website and purchase the Slaying Self-Doubt Prayer Journal. Using this prompt and journal will pull out where you are stuck on your journey. These questions will force you to dig deep and find your fears. Lastly, if you're ready to invest in your healing journey and work directly with me, book a 30-minute connection call with me today. This allows us to see if we are a good fit for each other. So head on over to my website, www.feliciawallace.com, to do one or all 3 of these. That's www.feliciawallace.com. Now, back to the show.
That's a great question. Wow. So I have learned my God-given talents, right? God keeps on showing me over and over and over again my talents that I didn't think that were talents before. For instance, like I used to take for granted like my ability to just connect with people. For some reason, people are always like, girl, you are my friend. Like, I don't know you, but you really are my friend, you know? And I never really understood that prior to, right? So then when I'm in Naturally Shauniece and there are women who just, you know, I don't do this, but people do spill their lives through a DM to somebody who they don't know, is like, or asking advice to somebody who they don't know. It's like, oh, that's a feeling that I create, right? Everybody doesn't have that ability to connect with people and to make people feel like I'm not alone, or hey, I'm going through that too. I have the gift of building a community, right? I was doing it when I started Shauniece Morris, and it was, you know, gradually taking off, not as fast as I want to, but it was taking off. People were connecting, right? And then I did it again when I had to pivot, right? I'm doing it again, focusing on YouTube, creating a community on YouTube, right? But I have a natural gift of connecting, and I have a natural gift of creating community. And that's something that God has like continuously shown me, right? I also have the ability to be like transparent in a way that doesn't like turn people off or offend people, right? I find in this age of social media that people are transparent, but a lot of people do it in such a wrong way to me, right? I don't talk about money, talk about the millions that you make and how you've done like, but it's like, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's just a way
I know exactly what it is.
It's just a way that I like and I connect to, you know, and my way may not be for everybody. It's not for everybody, right? But I have a way of doing it, and this is something that I've learned about myself, that I can be humble and impactful, and I can share my story and help people without being like turning people off, or without seeming like I know it all, my life is together, I have it all figured out. You know, I that's just something I've learned about myself, and I'm starting to appreciate.
No, that's good, especially when it comes to building community, right? Like what you said was like stuff that is something you already had. You may not have recognized it, but I'm like, I remember, you know, now knowing and, you know, being very clear and self-reflecting. I'm like, God's been doing this in me since my early 20s, right? When I would have women come and share stuff, and I'd be looking like, why are you talking to me about this? Like, in my mind, I had no idea. Like, I don't know. I like distinctly remember the very first conversation I had with someone asking me randomly at work. It wasn't random, for sure it was intentional.
Right.
Like, how do you get self-love? And I'm like, child, I don't know. Like,
I'm just trying to figure it out.
I'm 22. What do you, I don't, why would you think I know that? Like that was my, and not even thinking that was even a moment of self-doubt. Like, why would you think that I know? But it had to be because there was something about me that showed you that that's what I had. You know what I mean? But I wasn't even aware enough of myself to know that that is what I was displaying, but it was through my transparency. I didn't have a problem with sharing. And like you said, like not in a way that's judgmental or like crass or just like blah blah blah. I want people to know my business. It's a way of like uplifting and impacting other people. It's in a different way, but it's still transparent, right? Like it's just like, I'm going to share this with you to let you know that you're not by yourself. And I didn't realize that was going to lead to this, but going through this journey, those are the things that I'm able to see, like, man, like I've always been like this. It's not new, which should remind me when my moments of self-doubt that
this is not new. Like you've been doing this since before slaying self-doubt.
Right. So there's a reminder for myself here in this moment, right? Like I was always slaying my self-doubt. So let's talk about all things Naturally Shauniece. What do you do? Well, we know to check you on YouTube. So y'all, boom. Let's start there. Like, okay, go subscribe right now. You can go ahead and pause.
Go subscribe and turn on your post notifications. I appreciate y'all. Okay?
Yes.
So yes, Naturally Shauniece is really a platform that I've created, a community that I've cultivated to help Black women, feel confident wearing their natural hair, to give Black women the tools and knowledge to better care for their hair, also to, care for themselves outside of their hair. So physically, my passions are hair, beauty, and then I'm a gym rat to a core. I've literally, people are like, this isn't something that fitness and health isn't, this just literally has been my life. Like, really? I remember being 16 years old and asking my mom for a Reebok step, those steppers.
I know exactly what you
okay. And there was like this whole video, and I had a friend who lived with us at the time. And, I've always just loved fitness. I played volleyball in college. I actually went to college on a volleyball scholarship.
Yeah, okay, then.
Yeah. So I'm really passionate just about taking care of our bodies and our health. And I try to use my platform to share tools and knowledge about hair and fitness to help Black women feel more confident about themselves and to improve themselves from obviously outside, but also inside too.
No, that is, I know that you never miss a Monday, right? So, and even if you do, you will make sure that you go back and say,
yeah, I'm going to do that today. I didn't miss it yesterday, but I didn't share it because life was lifing.
Yeah. But, listen, I told people yesterday, I had therapy and I was like, I think I'm still in the matrix. It's the evening, but I was like, yesterday, Monday was Monday. Like it just
Monday was crazy.
I don't know what happened. Like it's just, I'm still catching up. But like I love the fact that everything that you're saying, like excuse me, helping us to grow and find the beauty in ourselves, right? Whether it's in our hair, whether it's in skincare, whether it's in exercising, but all of that, when you feel good when you look good on the outside, you feel good on the inside. And for some people, that is where they have to start. A lot of times we talk about like working on your inner work and those type of things. And that is important as the outside as well. But sometimes just going to get your hair done, a new color, a nice face or something, you just be like, oh, that just did something to my spirit.
It could be a starter, right? It could be a catalyst to, which is why programs, community-based programs that give men suits or give men a haircut or makeover women. Why is that important? Because you're right, it helps you to like slay self-doubt. It helps you to just give you a cat. Look, you hear that? That's my job. It helps you to listen, we're working, guys. It helps you to slay self-doubt. And those things are important. But my goal is for women to be naturally them, which is why I love Naturally Shauniece. I've gone back and forth with changing this name, right? And focusing on mom but I'm like, I really like the name Naturally Shauniece because I just like being myself. Like everything that I share is just me being me. And I don't like connecting things that I do solely tied to my kids. Like I thought I wanted to be this, mom blogger. And as I've matured in my motherhood journey, and again, as my kids have gotten older, and I've spoken with moms, women who have had kids go to college and stuff, it comes to the point where it's a huge reset, and it's it's a hard transition.
Yeah.
When everything that you've done, like, okay, you created a blog or a whole influencing platform, whatever, on being a mom. What are you going to do for money when your kids are teenagers and they don't want to film with you? Right? When they're teenagers and they have their own life, like, you're going to be in trouble. Or when they go to college and you don't have, like, even if you're not, like, just as women, we just pour so much into our kids and our families. And I just wanted something for myself. And that's what Naturally Shauniece is. It's something for myself that I can connect and build community with other women while helping women, feel confident about themselves, both inside and outside, and just be themselves, no shade to wigs, weaves, like no shade to any of that, beats, nothing. But I just want women to like start with like your own canvas that God has given you, and how can we, enhance that, right? And when you're beautiful on the inside, that helps you be beautiful on the outside. And there's catalysts, like having a nice hairstyle. Let's not get it twisted. Looking good helps. Okay. I am not that person that's like, looks don't matter. Looks very much matter. Okay. Which is why you're going to get looks Naturally Shauniece.
I love it. I love it also because we change, right? And so just like you said, like, mom is a title. Like, it is our job. It's what we do. It's who we are. We will forever be mom, but we'll be mom of infants, and then toddlers, and then big kids, and whatever, the teenagers, then young adults, then we'll be grandparents. You know what I mean? Like, it's so many facets to it, like, but we're still us first. And so I agree. And like, that may be the big umbrella, and then there's pieces of you that come from Naturally Shauniece, right? Like, so don't change your name then.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, there are pieces. I'm Shauniece, and I'm being my natural self. And then there are pieces of me that I also share that make Naturally Shauniece.
All of that, because I'm ready for you to, because my kids are right behind your kids. My youngest just turned 12, and my oldest will be 15 this year. So I'm like, okay, I need to know when they both gone. See, that changes the dynamic of your relationship and your marriage at that time. See that?
Well, it starts before that, right? Girl, the marriage dynamics when your kids are teenagers, especially when they hit high school, it is like this clock that is literally just, it's like, I can't get this countdown. Everything is like this countdown to 2024. That's my oldest graduation year. And it's like, dang, like, I really may not have to deal with you. Like, I see why people were married for 25 years, 20 years and get divorced. And they were married and everybody's shocked. No, I'm not. I'm no longer shocked by that, because I understand the dynamics that children have on a marriage. And even in that, like, I'm in prepping season for my marriage empty nesters, and it has to start now. It can't start,
when by that time
when they get by. So it's like my husband and I reevaluating our interests, like we are polar opposites, but we have to be more intentional about having like a common interest. Right. Even on the weekends, like we don't have to worry about kids clinging to us. Like I have to now, we're at the stage in parenting where I have to draw my kids out of their rooms, right?
Yes.
Where I have to be like, you know what? It's family time.
We're going somewhere.
We're going somewhere. Right. Clothes. We're going somewhere because they don't want to go anywhere. It's like they just want to be in the house. It's mind blowing to me.
And they want to know how long they're going to be gone, where exactly we're going, what time will we be back, so they can tell their friends, okay, I'm leaving, but I'll be back I'll be able to get back on the game at 8. I think
that's
I'll be
really
back
it.
At 8 and be like,
that's really it. Rushing me. Do I have to go? Like they don't want to spend time with you. To like, it's a whole thing, right? And so that's where we are in, parenting.
Yeah. I try to share. I'm right there with you. So I totally understand it. Thank you so much, Shauniece, for sharing with us. How can people connect with you? I'm gonna tell y'all anyway, go to her YouTube page, subscribe. And,
that's the word of the day. So all of my social media is Naturally Shauniece. That's YouTube, Instagram, naturallyshauниece.com, a blog, and I think I'm on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. Like it's a generational thing for me. I really tried with TikTok. Dang it, I tried. Lord knows I tried.
Working. I just watched
it. Isn't working for me.
Yeah, I just watched the cleaning hacks. That's
okay. Oh, see, you're old.
I'm on there for the cleaning hacks and the cooking hacks. Like that is really
like it. I really try, but I am on TikTok. But yes, all my social media handles are Naturally Shauniece. I would love to have you come join me. Come join our community of curl friends. We love it there. And that's me.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Y'all make sure go to YouTube and subscribe. Okay.
Thank you.
And you said turn your notifications on. So
yes, turn your notifications on. Thank you, Felicia, for having me. Even as when I read your email and I'm filling out, Felicia's on point. She has a whole system. Like she's systematic with it. Everything is online. You complete, like I had absolutely zero email interaction with her beyond her pitch. It was just like bam, 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 bam. Everything was there. I absolutely loved your system and how you book, your guests. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. And that's done very, very well. But I thank you for having me. I was having, self-doubt, even like, am I worthy enough to be on here? Does my voice matter? Blah, 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 blah. So I thank you for taking a chance on me and, connecting with me and having me on your platform.
Oh, you are so welcome, man. I promise you, the Lord knows what he's doing. So I'm being obedient every single time. And there's a reason for it. And you in the DMV. So, once we'll
have to get together.
When outside opens back up and it ain't 12 degrees out here.
Well, major key. Like, don't look for me now. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Don't look for me now.
I'm going to be right here.
Spring and summer, we outside. We can connect, do a little DMV brunch or something.
Yes, but not in this winter weather. It's not happening.
See you in 4 months. That's what you said.
Right. Yes, thank you so much. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self-Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.